Greetings and welcome to my channel. This is Sorcerer Tal. You can also find me on Facebook in the Sorcerer's Guild. Today on Magical Theory, we are going to be talking about consensual love spells. Now, if you've seen my previous videos on love spells, I of course don't ever condone non-consensual love spells, as in targeted love spells, but we do talk some about how to draw the proper type of lover to you with spellcraft. And I actually, well, after doing those videos a bit later on, I decided I would go ahead and do that myself. And I used one of my scallop shells to make a pouch, and inside there I wrote a list of all the things I wanted from a potential lover. And I described them, all of those things, and wrote them down with intent, made a sigil in the middle and kind of a drawing of the person, and then I also put rose petals in there and a few other ingredients, including some of the red salt that was on my altar. It's all in this thing here since I've moved, but I've completed that pouch, and then I hung it above the red crystal garden so that it would be influenced by that. And, well, if you've been paying attention to my channel, it worked. And that's part of the reason that I moved to Seattle, is to be closer to this person, Felix. And well, they hit every single thing on that list. It's actually rather uncanny. So it was a very successful spell, and I find myself very much in love. But despite my moving all the way to Seattle, it is still a long distance relationship because they are on the other side of the Canadian border. And so we're going to talk about, well, one of the first things we'll talk about is ways to make it so that you feel the pain of their presence being far away less. Ways to keep their presence near you in a long distance relationship and lessen that loneliness that can accompany that. And then we'll also talk a bit about some ways to put the pep back into your love life with people that have been together for a while, and how to keep that bond tight, as well as, well, a marriage ceremony that I perform, which is essentially a consensual love spell designed to keep things on course so that the relationship can flourish. Okay, so first we will talk about, like I said, we will talk about ways to mitigate the loneliness that comes with uh, long distance relationships. And the way that we have been doing it is we have an item that we exchange. In our case, it is these silver cups, and I happened to come across two that were exactly the same. And so what we do is whenever we are together, we take the cups and we put them together. And we will put a little bit of water or oil in them, typically water, and we will have them there the entire time. And when I first get there, we'll put them out, put the water in them, and drink from each other's cups. And I will tell Felix that I have brought their cup back to them. And they will like, oh, well, I have had your cup. And so no matter which way we go, when I leave, I take their cup, even though I take the opposite cup when I leave. And whichever one I've taken, that is their cup. And the one that I've left is mine. And that way, when we are missing each other, we have this connection through the cups that we can fill each other through, and it reminds us of the last time we were together, and there's sentimentality attached that helps with the loneliness involved. This could be adapted to people who have farther relationships where they can't see each other. I mean, we're only able to see each other every couple months at this point right now, but we have that ability to see each other physically and establish that connection which we then put into the cups. And it helps them just feel just a little more present in your life and mitigates some of that loneliness factor. Of course, you still need to work on the relationship, be in contact with each other, all those sorts of things, have communication and open communication and honesty. But this isn't a video about how to have a relationship and that stuff. But you know, open, honest communication is extremely important in any relationship, whether you are polyamorous, like I am, or and Felix, or if you are monogamous, it doesn't matter. Those are the two key ingredients. But anyways, that is not what we're here for. So, um, we have these cups that we pass back and forth. Now, if you were in a longer distance relationship, I know a lot of people in the community have been hooking up lately, and some of them are overseas from each other. This could be done as well with through the mail, and then each time you would have an excuse to write an actual physical letter to each other that you would keep with the item. And if you did it like we were doing, then you would have two identical items that you would send to each other. And when you send them, you were sending them theirs. But when you get it, well, it's the other person's, and now you need to send it back. And so that keeps the connection going. With each one, you could add special letters and keepsakes, anything that you wanted to do. Of course, the more you send it, there's the postage and all that, but those things are worth it sometimes, just to have that feeling of connection. And I have found, at least, that this helps mitigate the loneliness that I feel with my partner being someone that I can't see so often. Okay, so I said that there was also spells one can do to help pep up their love life once, well, when you've been with someone for a long time, sometimes those attractions become less. And, well, there are a few ways to go about this. I actually did have a client in the past that asked me to cast a spell for them to help to work on that. And actually, I wound up designing a lust sigil that they could focus on when they were thinking about each other and put desire into the sigil. And it worked. They're still together. They reported very good results. And it seems to have worked quite well for them. They're still a very happy couple. Uh, Methods could be done like this, or even one could make lust poppets of each other. So that's like kind of like a voodoo doll, or a poppet. I prefer the word poppet. But if you used one's, well, used, I guess I'll just say it, their pubic hair to make the dolls, you could then put love oils, lust, and those sort of things on the dolls aimed at each other, or even make a doll with both of yours mixed together inside the doll and cast love and lust spells on it. And this can be, with the sigil or the poppet, an opening into sex magic and ritual things that you could do together, which would not only, well, add an extra little spice to it, because now you're doing it not just for the reasons you were before and the connection, which I'm sure if you're willing to go this far, you're willing to put this effort into rekindling that spark. This is someone you feel a very deep connection with. But this can make it exciting again. This is something that, in and of itself, especially if you use the first sigil to create connection with each other, then you can use that as a focal point to begin operating with each other if both of you are practitioners. Or if you're a practitioner and your lover is not, well, very few people object to the idea of bringing candles into the room and focusing on the other one's pleasures. Yeah? Okay, so hopefully I didn't say anything in there that was going to get me demonetized, but I think you understand where I'm going with that. I'm going to look into the rules a little bit more, and we may talk more about the rituals involved with that. Later, I just got to figure out what all I can get away with saying before we get more into it. Anyways, so then we have the idea of the actual consensual love spell. Now, I have performed several wedding ceremonies in my life. And the ritual that I come up with, well, come up with is the wrong word. It's something that was just in my mind. I don't know exactly where it comes from. There are bits of it that I've seen in a popular culture, but I had the idea long before any of those things were around. This is just what I thought a hand fasting was when I first heard of the idea. Okay, so it involves the cups as well. And it's part of the reason that me and Felix are using the cups, though we are not ritually bound to each other in that way. We only have the first part of the cups. Okay, so the way the ceremony goes is you have two cups and you have the two people that are going to be wed. And then you have a pouch that was made specifically for this purpose, and then you get a lock of each person's hair. And then they come up before you to perform the ceremony. And you could actually do this without an officiant like myself. You could do this with each other if you were to perform the ceremony. And this is a way of binding your souls in a way that not only will you be together in this lifetime and creating a love spell, but also helping you to find each other in lives past this one. So this is a rather significant ceremony. But how it works is you have the two cups and then the braided hair, or the two pieces of hair, the pouch, and then you will also have fire that can be taken from one area to a next. Typically, I would have a torch that is lit on fire and a bonfire that is ready to go. Okay, so the people that wish to be wed will come up, and I will pour them each water. The first person will take the water. Doesn't matter which, and this isn't a gendered thing. And in fact, where you're polyamorous, this could be more than one person at the same time. We'd have a lock of hair for each one. So, what we do then is the first person holds up the cup and says, I drink, this water represents our love. They hand it to the person. The person says, I drink of our love, and takes a sip, and then says the same thing. This water represents our love, and hands it back to the first person, who then says, I drink of our love, and takes a drink, and then places the glass down. And then you take the two locks of hair. If one or more of the persons has short hair, what would be done is you weave some yarn or string into their hair for a few days, just long enough for it to become part of them. Technically, become quantumly entangled with them, if you wish, whatever you want to call it, becomes linked to them, and you would use that in lieu of an actual lock of hair, or encourage them to grow out a piece until it's long enough, and that would give them a while to think on whether they want to do this or not, because this is a very big step. Okay, so you then braid that hair together with the intent of weaving these people as one, and then when it is finished being braided, tie it into a circle and place it in the pouch. Usually during this part, because there is a ritual going on, a ceremony, I will be explaining what I'm doing and talking to the people who are watching the crowd, the witnesses, about how the hair together represents them being bound as one, and of course speaking to the people who are getting married as well, and that it was binding in a circle to keep them forever together, and then that is placed inside the pouch. And then they will kiss, and then it's the last thing that I do as some marking from an old from a from a from the time before into the new time. You take the torch, bring it down to the bonfire, light the bonfire on fire, and then it lights up and the ceremony is over. Of course, you don't have to do all of these things to cast a consensual love spell on each other. This could be done once again through a sigil or your own pouch in whichever way that you feel is appropriate to the two of you. But this type of love spell, there's no ethical dilemma in it. It is simply a way to help encourage your love, bind you together, and keep the odds in your favor. And, well, we just like to have official things. Yeah? Okay. So, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you once again for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please take the opportunity to do so now. Until next time, bright blessings and an interesting fate. This has been Sorcerer Tell.